Beef Wellington au poivre. Oh, hello there. It's been a minute. But anyway, let's get started by taking our fillets out of the fridge. We want to get these room temp, but while we wait, let's dry them, blast them with salt, and let them rest on a wire rack. Now let's grab the rest of our ingredients. You will need 3 to 4 shallots, prosciutto, 1 to 2 slices per fillet, white mushrooms, 4 ounces-ish per fillet, small handful of garlic cloves, 1 stick of butter, you won't need the whole thing, some fresh thyme, you don't need that much, beef broth, some brandy, heavy whipping cream, Dijon mustard, some of the Shire, Mr. Frodo, some whole black peppercorns, and some puff pastry. But first, let's secure this cutting board a little more with a damp paper towel. Okay, so now we're going to make the duxelle. So we're going to chop these mushrooms up. Most recipes use a food processor, which definitely works, but I'm just not a fan of like the paste that comes out. It just doesn't look, appetizing. So I grab a knife and start chopping, and chop, and chop, 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 until we get to this, little chunks, Next up is the shallots. I cut them into long strips and then cut them in half. I use about 3 to 4 per 2 fillets. I definitely put way more shallots compared to a typical Wellington recipe, because I like shallots, and I'm gonna eat it, so I do what I want. Also, I don't love mushrooms, and this helps balance everything out, and it's absolutely amazing. Next up, we're gonna melt 1/2 stick of butter, salted. I'm gonna toss in the mushrooms and the shallots. We're going to saute on medium-high. We don't want everything to brown, so if it starts to brown, turn down the heat. It's okay if a little browns, it's totally fine. Then we're going to toss in some thyme, some salt, once everything kind of shrinks down to half the size and absorbed majority of that delicious butter. And then we're going to hit everything with 2 tablespoons of the Shire, Mr. Frodo, for a fantastic umami blast that will make this mixture absolutely smell and taste amazing. Like legitimately, it's so good. We're going to turn the heat down, cook until most of the moisture is gone. We're going to add the garlic, saute for another 30 seconds. Just look how delicious that looks. Textured, it's not a paste. Who wants a paste? Toothpaste? No. Now it's time to sear the fillets. Get a pan very hot, add in some oil. We're going to add each fillet and not touch them for 2 minutes. Don't even think about lifting them up and looking. No, and yes, I added more salt and some pepper on top. You want to get a good crust on each side. Good crust. No flipsies, no looking. Just wait. Set an alarm. Walk away. Don't walk away. Now we flip. We're going to admire the crust on that bottom one. Perfection. Flip it. 90 seconds on side 2. Look at that crust. Now we're going to put them on a wire rack with some paper towels to catch the drips so they can cool and dry before the big show starts. Now it's time to brush them down with some Dijon mustard. Get all the sides, top, bottom, and just completely paint it. Now it's time for the pastry. Toss some flour on a cutting board, smooth it out, and get some on your hands. Now we're going to lay the sheets flat. Cut it down the middle. Line 2 slices of prosciutto. So technically, you would want to wrap the meat and the duxelle in the prosciutto and then plastic wrap it, let it set in the fridge for 30 minutes just to keep that little perfect shape. But we're gonna skip that because it still comes out really good if you don't do it. Next, we're gonna layer out our duxelle nice and even. I like it when it completely surrounds the meat, not just on top, everywhere. I'm gonna place our filet down, wrap it up, and yeah, the dough should be a square. And you just fold the corners up to the top and seal them together. But you know, I made a rectangle because I wanted to make it complicated for myself apparently. I still wrapped it tightly and cut off any excess dough, and all the folds were on the bottom side. So it's fine. So the ones I made off camera, of course, I did that, you know, correctly, and it was fine. Everything works. So it's all good. Just do what you do. Not everyone's a professional pastry chef, okay? As long as you seal it, it's good to go. And I even tried to get fancy and score one, but I guess I didn't do it that well because nothing really came out in the end. You'll see. I tried. But first, before you toss them in the oven, to get that perfect golden brown dough, we're going to get 1 egg yolk and 1 drop of water, and we're going to brush the top of the dough. Make sure you do it fast. You got to get these boys in the oven. We're going to bake them for 20 to 25 minutes, 400 degrees. And while they bake, let's make some peppercorn sauce because why not? First off, let's crush some peppercorns. We only need about 2 tablespoons, so don't grab as much as I did. And any extras you can just, you know, use them later. And we're going to sift the smaller pieces out because we only want the bigger chunks. Now in a hot pan, add 2 tablespoons of crushed peppercorns, and we're going to toast them for just a few minutes. And in a separate pan, we're going to reduce 1 cup of beef broth until it's about halfway, so a half cup. Now we're going to hit it with a 1/3 cup of brandy. You don't have to flambe it if you have smoke alarms everywhere and they're very loud. So if you don't want to deal with that, you can just let it simmer. Give it some time, the alcohol will cook off, it's fine. Now we're going to add that beef broth that we reduced, 1/2 cup. Keep it simmering. Next up, 1/2 cup of heavy cream. We're going to simmer and reduce until it gets nice and thick. We're going to take the Wellingtons out of the oven and let them rest while we finish off the sauce. Once that is reduced about halfway, we're going to throw in 2 tablespoons of butter off the heat. And when the butter is completely incorporated, give it a taste. Delicious. And then we're going to check the back of the spoon, and if it doesn't fill in immediately, we are good to go. Now we're going to cut our Wellington. Super duper tender, very juicy filet, completely surrounded by duxelle and puff pastry. Now we're going to plate it and try to make it fancy. Add those secret potatoes that I've been roasting since I started the Duxelle. We're going to add some au poivre, and then we're ready to go. Does this need au poivre? No. Do I love it? You betcha. A delicious meal that even if you kinda make it wrong, it still comes out amazing. Like, seriously. And if you make it for the holidays or a special dinner, it's an absolute surefire way to impress any meat eater that you know. And I was honestly very tempted to just grab it and eat it like an expensive fancy Hot Pocket. So I just turned the camera off first. But that's all. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all very soon.